looking good. And then the second
talk some football onto the Cowboys now. On Wednesday, Dak Prescott was limited in practice for the first time in his career because of a shoulder injury he suffered last week against the Rams.
Yeah, but he's great on Twitter.
He did say they're Clippers Rockets. Russell Westbrook in the game, and he played well enough to get the win, but he hasn't taken a snap in practice the last 2 days. So what does it mean for his availability Sunday against Philly? And perhaps Dallas' biggest game of the season thus far. Here's Dak.
He ends up willing his way to 35 points.
It's all improving. That's the kid's goal.
40 by the 40. Yeah.
We know the situation.
First 40-point game as a Rocket.
We know what's going on. And, at the same time, we're just treating it as another game.
On Wednesday, Dak Prescott was limited in practice for the first time in his career because of a shoulder injury he suffered last week against the Rams.
Yeah, but how are his hips?
Yeah, I can't wait till Sunday afternoon.
This is what you play this game for. When I was a little boy and dreamed about being a quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, these are the situations you thought about being in. And excited for this moment, this opportunity for our team.
You think he dreamed about being 7-7 and is backing his way into the play?
No, but I mean, when he was dreaming about being quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, he had programmed into his head the perfect quarterback speak from the moment he got to the league to right now.
He's been practicing.
Go ahead.
All right, who wins on Sunday? Is this the Cowboys or is this the Eagles, Nick?
I do not think Dallas clinches the division on Sunday. I do think Philadelphia wins the football game. I do think Philadelphia is the better team. I think they're the better coach team. And I think they have the better quarterback. Now, the deck is stacked against Philly to a degree, and I know, or not to step on your commentary, you probably are going to factor that in maybe a little more than I am as far as the injuries on Philadelphia. But this, to me, is less about Philadelphia and more about a total lack of faith in Dallas.
Sure.
And I understand that Philadelphia, they have the same record. And they both Philly probably came into the season, not probably, they did come into the season with higher expectations than the Cowboys. But a lot of people thought both these teams were playoff teams. Most people believe both these teams have underachieved. So why am I more out on Dallas than Philly? Because through the first 13 games of the season, I saw Philly in multiple instances rally against really good opponents. I saw them go to Green Bay and win. I saw them put it on a Buffalo Bills team that is, even though people don't want to acknowledge it, that's a good football team. They're limited at quarterback, but that is a good football team. I saw Dallas do it once. Now, I know it's the most recent thing we've seen, but they also did it against a team that I consider far inferior to Green Bay or to Buffalo in the Los Angeles Rams, another one of the disappointing, underachieving teams in football this year. So for all those reasons, and maybe most notably because the game's in Philadelphia, I think the Eagles win this game. And they, unlike Dallas, they can't clinch the division with a win, but they can all but clinch the division with a win.
Well, first we'll start with expectations, okay? Jerry Jones' expectations were to get to and win a Super Bowl. So there are no more higher. You know, I go to their training camp every year, my radio show, and that's all they were talking about was Super Bowl. And that's why they said, all right, we'll give Zeke the contract, even though it's essentially the Todd Gurley contract, which is a bad deal. Because the thought is, hey, small window here, we can go win a Super Bowl with Dak on his rookie deal. So the expectations were equally high, if not higher, with Dallas, and they have been disappointing, and they are America's team, and they do have their owner that conducts his own press conferences and talks about how well coached everybody else is except the guy that he hires. So he's kind of created the expectations and the narrative that Jason Garrett, his guy, is coaching for his job. But I just... Like, look, the Eagles have been equally inconsistent. They've been equally putrid. Like, look, they had to rally to beat the Redskins, who stink.
They had to rally to beat the Giants.
They had to rally to beat the Giants. They lost to the Falcons back when the Falcons couldn't beat anybody early in the year. Like, they have some... These are two equally... flawed teams, but I think the Eagles are more flawed just because of the injuries. Like, I don't think their roster...
Isn't that the reason why they had to rally, maybe, to beat...
Yes, I also think their defensive backfield is bad. I think they're a little bit older.
Has been.
You know, Lane Johnson, you know, he's hurt. He always hurt or suspended. This one, it's hurt.
Right.
You know, so I think there's a... And then Carson Wentz, their quarterback, who I agree with you. I think he's the better quarterback, but he's not always playing like the better quarterback. Some because the guys around him, he's trying to make a better play. Some because he hasn't held on to the football, right? Can't fumble the ball, turn the lead. I do think the Cowboys win. I agree. They're flawed. They're inconsistent for a reason. They're not particularly well coached. I don't think their roster is as good as they think it is. I don't think Dak is as profound a breakthrough guy as some would lead you to believe, and he's banged up. but they're far healthier, far better. And I do think in many ways they found something defensively in terms of some multiple looks they provided last week that they'll come in and win. The big question there with them has been kicking game all year.
And that is, by the way, the defense is the underrated part of what happened against the Rams. The way they just absolutely eliminated Todd Gurley, the way they made Jared Goff look the way he had looked the few weeks, not the few weeks prior, but the 2 months prior in the season where he was a little overwhelmed by the situation. The Cowboys defense was exceptional, and maybe this is too basic, but I think we actually agree on this. In this matchup, which team has the better coach? Philly. Which team has the better quarterback? Philly. Which team's at home? Philly. So I have home field advantage.
Yeah. I
have the more talented quarterback. I have the more secure, established coach. To me, the injuries have to be a total epidemic rather than just I'm without all my wide receivers. And maybe you would say it is an epidemic, but to me, it's not quite to that level.
Yeah, but it was now look, the last time they played, it should be pointed out, the Eagles fumbled in their first 2 possessions, right?
And the Cowboys annihilated them.
But we also should point out the Cowboys annihilated them. They could not cover Amari Cooper, and they could not stop Zeke Elliott.
Yep.
And the Cowboys are not traditionally some great home team where they have home field advantage playing in that gigantic place. So I'm not, like, I like Doug Peterson, but I'm not necessarily with, do I think he's a better coach than Jason Garrett? Yeah, but he hasn't shown himself to be nearly the same guy, especially since all his staff went elsewhere after they won the Super Bowl.
And he's gotten a lot of benefit of the doubt because the Super Bowl is still sort of hanging around that stadium. You mentioned that the Cowboys aren't particularly well coached. If they win Sunday, they're in the playoffs. Does getting to the playoffs save Jason Garrett's job? Either one of you?
No. No, because of the No.
Doug thinks he could stay, but he doesn't think the playoffs alone do it, right?
No, yeah, correct. Making the playoffs is not the expectation, especially when the Giants have been historically bad. The Redskins are on like their 5th choice at quarterback, and they've already fired their head coach early in the season. So you have to factor in this is the worst division in football. If you can't win the division this with say, if not now, when? Right? You can't win this division this year. You're never winning this division. So no, I don't think he stays his job. But I also, I'm not going to make a closing statement on who stays and who goes. It's like the Jameis Winston thing. You go back 2 or 3 weeks ago, you're like, he's gone. Now he throws for 450 2 weeks in a row. They've won 5 in a row. You're like, well, maybe you ride this Jameis Winston thing out, right?
I can't wait to see that.
I mean, it's the same thing with Ryan Tannehill comes in and saves the day for Tennessee.
So that's the best thing for
the situations you thought about
separate
being
questions.
in.
Let me answer your first one first. Jason Garrett's gone. He's gone. They did not give him a contract extension after they won 7 of 8 games last year and won a playoff game and made it as deep into the playoffs as they ever have with him as a head coach. If you don't give him a contract extension, then you are looking for a reason to move off of him. This year is the reason. Because I do not think that even though Vegas had Philly with better expectations than Dallas, Jerry Jones had the Cowboys with the highest expectations they've had since they had the coach team, and I think they have the better quarterback. Even if they win this week and win next week, which they wouldn't even have to if they win this week, they get to 9 wins to a degree. Even if wins that first home playoff game and upset to San Francisco and maybe a little more than Jason Garrett as far as the injuries on Philadelphia. But this to me is less about Philadelphia and more about wins, which is an impossibility.
But back to the Princess Bride.
And I understand that Philadelphia, they have the same record. And they both came in, Philly probably came into the season, not probably, they did come into the season with higher expectations than the Cowboys. But a lot of people thought both these teams were playoff teams. Most people believe both these teams have underachieved.
This is a team,
so why am I more out on Dallas than Philly? Because through the first 13 games of the season, I saw Philly in multiple instances rally against really good opponents. I saw them go to Green Bay and win. I saw them put it on a Buffalo Bills team that is, even though people don't want to acknowledge it, that's a good football team.
And the Cowboys are not a bad football team. They have been a dysfunctional and a disappointing football team, but it's not for lack of talent.
The most recent thing we've seen, but they also did it against a team that I consider far inferior to Green Bay or to Buffalo in the Los Angeles Rams, another one of the disappointing, underachieving teams in football this year. So for all those reasons, and maybe most notably because the game's in Philadelphia, I think the Eagles win this game. And they, unlike Dallas, they can't clinch the division with a win, but they can all but clinch the division with a win.
Well, first we'll start with expectations. Jerry Jones' expectations were to get to and win.